Hi, this is Don Zico again. I received my 8th edition rulebook in the mail on Thursday, so this is moving on to 8th edition reports. This is the second game I played of it, but I didn't have my camera around for the first. So you'll be treated to a 2,500 point game between my Dark Elves and my twin brothers Lizardmen. We're playing the, I believe it's called Dawn Salt scenario. So what that means is that basically the victory points are going to be the same as they ordinarily would, but your deployment is going to be somewhat random. You split your deployment zone into sections, and then each unit has to roll to see which section it winds up in, or if you just get to put it wherever you want. So I guess I'll start with the Lizardman deployment. He rolled one unit of Skinks and his Pterodons onto his right flank. So his Skinks are set up way over there on the edge, and his Pterodons took their 12-inch Vanguard move to sit behind that defended obstacle. Then in his center, he basically rolled all of his heavy combat units to be in the center of his line. So in the center, he's got 2 units of Saurus, his big unit of Temple Guard with a Saurus Scar Veteran and his Slann Mage Priest. He's got 2 units of Skink Skirmishers, and I should add that all of his Skink Skirmishers have Skink Chiefs in them. And then beside the Saurus Phalanx in the middle, he's got a unit of 6 Kroxigor and a unit of 3 Salamanders. Now, the army I'm bringing for this list, it's similar in a lot of ways to the kinds of armies I was bringing in 7th edition. In this case, my thought process was that basically because of the steadfast rule, I can't play quite the same as I could before, where I would, rely on having small units that hit very hard with the cauldron and use them to, hit and run on through. So this time I'm taking 2 units of 30 Dark Elf Spearmen, and the idea is that basically what I want to do is to charge the other guy's valuable stuff with the Spearmen, and simultaneously charge with Cold One Knights, or I mean not in this game, but in others, a Hydra or things like that, and cause enough wounds to win by a good bit, and then have 5 or 6 ranks on the Spearmen, which will allow me to break their steadfast and go ahead and run them down in one round of combat, so I can still fight more or less the way I used to. We'll see how that goes. For starters, I was a little bit messed up because I didn't get the rolls that I wanted on where my units deployed. So on the right side of my line, I've got basically just my Dark Riders. And then one of my blocks of Warriors, one of my units of Cold One Knights, and my big unit of 20 crossbowmen are all deployed in the center, along with my bolt thrower and my cauldron. Now, the big unit of crossbowmen has one of my level 2 mages in it, who's got a fire magic. Then on my left flank, I'm going to have a unit of Dark Riders, my other unit of Warriors, and my other unit of Knights. The Dark Riders on both flanks are going to move up using their Vanguard rule. And the Knights on my left flank have my Lord in them. He's a build I want to try out. He's got the Crown of Command and the Pendant of Caleth, and then I think the magic armor-piercing great weapon that Dark Elves get, and blood armor, which amazingly all just barely fits in 100 points. So essentially, he's incredibly difficult to kill. He's almost the unkillable Dreadlord from 7th edition, but he's also stubborn on leadership 10. So my thought is that I can use him to control the movement phase, because if he gets in contact with a unit, they're not going to be able to break him, and they'll pretty much have to stay still indefinitely fighting this guy while I can try and line up other charges. And then I also have another level 2 mage in that other warrior block. This one has the Lore of Shadow, and she has the Sacrificial Dagger, so she'll be able to get extra power dice in my magic phase. Alright, so on Lizardman turn 1, it's not extremely eventful in his movement phase. He's basically just going to advance his army forward. His skirmishers will move up. His rightmost unit of Saurus warriors will sort of peel off. They're going to try and make for that defended obstacle to hold it against my Cold One Knights. Over here, his skirmishers are going to sit up on the hill, and just generally he's going to move up across the board at me. The only big thing is that his Pterodons are going to drop rocks on my Dark Riders, and they'll kill all but one of them. So in the Lizardman magic phase, he was able to cast a lot of spells, and this is what I believe is referred to in economics as a leading indicator. But anyway, he gets +2 toughness on his Skinks, he gets regeneration on his Temple Guard unit, and he gets Shield of Thorns on his salamanders, which means they'll inflict strength 3 hits on anyone that's in combat with them. Also, the hill in the middle is some sort of a chaos shrine or something, and characters on it can appeal to the chaos gods to become more powerful. His skink chief in that unit does so, and gets +2 strength. So interestingly, he ends the round with a strength 6, toughness 5 skink chief. However, in my first turn, my knights are undeterred by the increased strength and toughness of the skinks and declare a charge against them. The skinks flee as a reaction, but they're caught, so my knights are going to wind up on that hill outside of the front arc of the Croc score, but right in front of his block of Saurus. Also, just looking at the rest of the board, my Dark Riders on the right are going to swing around the flank. My Warriors and my other Cold Ones are just going to advance to fight his Salamanders and his flanking Saurus block, respectively. And my Cauldron is going to kind of move up to try and keep pace with my combat units, and my Crossbowman will move up slightly to be in range for magic. Then in my magic phase, I'm going to cast a powered-up Fireball on his unit of Skink Skirmishers in front of my Crossbowman. That'll kill all but one and the hero. I don't really do anything else in my magic phase, but I will shoot them with my Crossbowman, and that brings them down to just the hero with 1 wound. So that brings us to Lizardmen turn 2. He's going to start by charging my Cold One Knights with his Saurus Warriors. They'll hold. He's also going to reform his Crocsgore to face my Cold Ones for a flank charge. And he's going to move his Salamanders up to right in front of my Warriors so they get a really good shot off. On his right, his unit of Saurus Warriors is going to move up and occupy that kind of defended obstacle, so they'll be pretty well protected if the Cold Ones decide they want to charge. And his skinks are going to move around to they're going to run into that pond, and from it try and shoot at my Warriors. And then his Temple Guard are just going to kind of move. His Pterodons do sort of a similar maneuver. They're going to try and shoot at my Bolt Thrower. His magic phase is pretty ridiculous. He rolls 10 dice, so I've got, I think, 5 or 6 dispel dice. But he manages to successfully cast the Dweller's Blow on my Cold One Knights, although I roll very well and only take 1 casualty. He also casts Throne of Vines on his Slan Mage. He then casts Flesh to Stone on that Saurus unit that my Warriors, the Saurus unit that my Cold One Knights have charged. I dispel that, and I guess he still has the Vine Shield or whatever it is in effect on his Salamanders. So the only real thing he does in his shooting phase, because his Skinks and his Pterodons are ineffective, is his Salamanders get off a point-blank volley into my Warriors. Now, I mean, these guys were mean against blocks before, but without partials, it's just devastating. There were, I think, 30 of them. He kills something like 16, although fortunately I managed to pass my panic check. And then in close combat, he's going to kill 3 of my knights. I kill, I think, 3 or 4 of his Saurus in return. I lose by a couple points, but my knights pass their break check, so we're going to stay put and fight some more.